talk with Sister Kathleen, who is in charge of nursing services, to express my concerns about what the issues were affecting the rights of workers to organize, number one, and number
They don't
two.
they don't have a union there?
They have filed for a collective bargaining election, and the collective bargaining election is scheduled for the 27th. However, our concern is that the administration seems to be interfering through trying to intimidate some of the staff people, trying to influence the outcome of the vote, sending out flyers as to why they should not join a union and why they should vote against the union, et cetera, and et cetera. And so that's just one of my latest little side
Well, let me ask you
projects.
this. It sounds like a pretty big one, up against a big hospital, a hospital that has done some good work here in town. So is there any way people who are listening can be of some kind of support?
It depends on when this program goes on the air.
This program goes on the air next week.
Next week.
The 27th.
The 27th is when the collective bargaining election takes place. And so people who are interested in supporting the right of workers to organize can come down to Mercy General or Mercy San Juan or Methodist, which is also part of that healthcare system, and walk in and begin talking with some of the staff people. Or if you want to express stronger support, you might call SEIU Local 250 on Elvis, and they would be more than willing to welcome additional community support for their workers.
Yeah, so Manny, this is your most current thing that's going on in your life, but when did you start getting involved, being an activist?
Well, as I told you when we chatted initially, actually since I'm 3 years old.
3, huh?
3. My father was a very active union member, and we marched in May Day parades in New York when I was 3 years old. So.
Could you remember that May Day?
Well, I've done so many of them, it's hard to differentiate.
Did you sit on your father's shoulder or something like that, do you think?
Not really. I walked, and because I was a very good walker, I still am. I still outpace most people that I walk with.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're only, what, 35?
Ha! I was 74 in December.
Oh, I hope I can be doing as much as you're doing right now. So tell me, where did you learn to do some problem solving and get groups together and be part of this big world?
Well, I've been an activist, as I say, since I was a kid, and was raised in New York, and during the Depression there were all kinds of issues that we were concerned about. My father was an activist as well, as was my mother. And
what is an activist, really?
An activist is a person who is willing to stand up and be counted. This person who is willing to get involved, who is willing to organize with other people to try to bring about a specific kind of change, and who's not willing to sit and gripe and complain and just commiserate with other people how terrible things are.
Mm-hmm.
A person who really wants to get together with other people, and this is critical, with other people in order to try to make a difference. Now, it's certainly possible for an individual to be an advocate on behalf of another individual, and that happens all the time. But in regard to really trying to bring about some fundamental social change, activism and organization is of critical importance.
Yeah, so to you, what would be an activist? What would be some crucial issues that you see that you'd like to see more people become involved in?
Well, there are a number of issues that I am currently involved in. Major group effort that I'm working on, have been for several years now, is the Sacramento Valley Progressive Agenda. This is a coalition of now a dozen organizations, and we are expanding to include maybe 20 to 30 organizations, all of whom have special interests, whether it's in labor, whether it's in the environment, whether it's in education, whether it's around political change or housing or whatever. And these people recognize and have recognized that the way to bring about some significant change in our community is through collective action. Now, each of the groups has their own specific agenda, and the people have been committed and dedicated to that. And what we're trying to do is to say that empowerment means that all progressive forces need to work collectively together around a common agenda.
So how are you planning to do that? How do you get people who are interested, let's say, in environment, to get together with somebody who's, how are they going to work together, somebody working on education, let's say?
Well, education and environment are closely interrelated. The issue of, let's say, saving the American River, the issue of pollution and the use of or the problems of auto emission, etc., water, clean water, all of those issues are very important. But they're also important for people who are concerned about education. If you're concerned about the kids and how they're going to grow up, or you're concerned about those people who are attending university, those issues are interrelated and interconnected. And this is where I think we have done an effective job in the very beginning stages, an effective job of pulling together these groups to say, yes, while we may have special interest in environment or education or housing or political campaign reform or whatever, that we recognize that we have to work together in order to bring about this change.
So what would working together look like?
Working together look like means developing several projects that we can work collectively around, certainly, number one, and number two, supporting each other in our own campaigns. For example, one of the major issues of concern has been the influence of the World Trade Organization.
That was where they had the big
That was
strike
up in Seattle, and some 50,000 people gathered from around the country and around the world to protest the influence of the World Trade Organization, not only over business and globalization, but also, in fact, influencing government policy. And here you had a very dramatic example, it seems to me, of these people who were committed, who understood the issues, who were willing to get together, to go up to Seattle, to demonstrate peacefully, which is what almost everybody did, except for a small handful of people, and that's what the media picked up on, was a small handful of people. And in fact, as a result of that collective action, bring the work of the World Trade Organization to a halt. They were supposed to develop an agenda. They were not able to act on their
What did your
agenda.
groups feel was wrong with what WTO was about?
Essentially superseding national interests, superseding workers' interests, superseding environmental concerns. And
I mean,
so
they weren't interested in
They're not interested
workers.
in that.
They're not working.
No. Now, basically, what they're interested in is how do we maximize profit? How do we maximize the opportunity of corporations expanding globally, both in production as well as in sales, without having any kind of significant restraints. Now, we've seen some beginning examples of that, certainly in the world globalization of the economy. The NAFTA would be one example. The fact that back in the Southeast Asia, we have in Indonesia and South Vietnam, we have in China now, companies that are American companies that are having workers in those countries producing for them. Nike shoes, for example, all kind of garments are being produced and exported internationally. The working conditions of those workers is an issue of concern to us. That if we have children who are working, that's wrong. If we have people working 12, 14 hours a day, that's wrong. If we have people working in environmental conditions that are hazardous for their health, that's wrong. And what we're saying is, and those people who were active in pushing for the blocking of the WTO, is that this is an issue of critical importance, and that we were able to demonstrate 50,000 people dramatically demonstrating in Seattle brought about some change for the moment.
Mm-hmm.
They blocked the countries that were there, 150-something countries, from proceeding with their agenda.
Mm-hmm. So how would, if WTO was really had their agenda and everything, how would that affect like the American economy? How would it affect us here in Sacramento even?
Well, we have seen the effect of globalization over the last number of years, certainly. Big corporations and companies have been downsizing. They have been laying off people. They have been moving out of the country to these other countries where wages are much lower than they would be here, where the environmental concerns would not be there as well. And so we have seen very dramatically the effect on the American economy. In addition to that, of course, there is a negative effect. While it may be positive from the company's point of view, there is a negative effect because the trade deficit that we've got now is up in the neighborhood of $160 billion. That means we're importing more stuff than we are sending out. And then we
But
sell
our
it.
economy, I guess, our economy seems good right now, is it?
Well, it's good for some people. It's good for the wealthy. It's good for those people who are investors. It is not good for a significant number of people. If you look at the record over the last 25 years, we have seen a dramatic decline, if you will, in the living conditions and income of the working poor. We have seen a decline in the lower middle classes as well. Just coincidentally, there was a clipping in yesterday's Bee that related to that issue of report, poor left behind in the boom, and state income gap among the widest in the U.S. What we have clearly, and these are Bureau of Labor Statistics and census figures. This is not something that I've made up or other people with whom I work have made up, demonstrating and documenting very dramatically the top 1% of the population, 2.7 million people in the United States, have as much wealth as the bottom 100 million people.
Well, actually, you've taken my breath away with those statistics and those things. What I'm finding I'm struggling with right now in my head, and the little I know in the areas of economics, how isn't globalization in some way helping kind of people who wanted one world, that kind of thing, bringing people together? Does globalization take away from our... do we want to do away with having people make things in other countries, or have people do what they do best there and do what we do best here? And I don't know if I'm making myself clear. But
I understand your question.
Okay.
I think that there is no question but that we are one world for better or for worse. What we have seen, though, over the last 15, 20 years is an expansion in globalization. The expansion in globalization is at the expense of working people. That while you can produce more products, and this is what our whole economy is about, and this is what the global economy is about, producing things to sell to people, things that they don't need. We are a consumer economy right now here in the United States, and we are the average worker, the average person is heavily indebted. We have pushed for people to use charge cards at the same time that we're concerned about the U.S. deficit. Well, isn't there a contradiction here? You want people and you need for people to indebt themselves, and many people doing it umpteen times over with having 4, 6, 8 credit cards. And there's an interesting...
And a few bankruptcies.
And bankruptcies and so on. And so, well, there's a cute story. One of my students a couple of years ago, I raised the issue about credit cards, and I usually ask, how many have 1 credit card? How many have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? This guy had 7 credit cards, and most of them were maxed out. As a result of the discussion, he began to think about it. He went home, talked with his wife about it, decided that he had to do something drastic. And what he did was he took all the credit cards, he put them in a container of water, and then he put the container of water in the freezer. So it became a block of ice with all of the credit cards embedded in that block of ice. That was the only way he could discipline himself. What I'm saying here is very clearly that this economy is based on consumer debt, essentially. It's okay for people to go into debt to buy things, many of which they don't need, and also at the same time enrich those companies. One of the things that we have seen very dramatically over this period of time as well is that the average CEO now of a major company is making 430 times what the worker in that company is making. Now that's increased from, used to be 30 times, used to be 100 times, 150 times, 200 times. It's now up to 430 times.
You know, I
This
can't
is
even
higher.
figure that high.
This is higher than any other nation in the world. The disparity between what the worker is earning and what the CEOs are earning.
Well, maybe we should all be CEOs.
Well, one has to have a temperament for that, and one has to have a motivation of profit and greed, and that's not mine.
So when you get going on things that you're interested, like globalization and things like that, how does it work with your friends? Are most of your friends, and let's take it to a personal level, do you find most of your friends agree with you? Do you have to find new friends when you're on new issues?
Well, you always have to expand the number of people and the groups that are interested and to get them involved. The issue of globalization, for example, is that there are numbers of people, and it's in the hundreds and almost thousands at this point here in Sacramento alone, where people are concerned about this issue.
Okay, it looks like we're getting ready for a break.
Okay.
And we'll take a station break for a few minutes, and we'll be right back.
Sacramento's community radio, The Voice.
Italian is the language of music. Classical, jazz, rock, or pop are all annotated with words like allegro, legato, and adagio. There's a reason for that. Italy is music's mother lode. If you're in the mood for the great sounds of Italy and Italian America, your only source is Sacramento Italian Style, with the Radio Paisani, Phyllis Cuparo, Joe D'Ambrosio, and me, Bob Mazzullo.
Hello, Sacramento. This is Todd Michaels. Join me right here on Sunday nights at 6 for a look back at all the radio hits we grew up with. From 75 to 95, it's The Vault, the biggest collection of pop hits anywhere around. I'll spin yesterday today, plus report facts and features about the recording acts who made the top 40, and read letters from you. That's The Vault, Sunday nights at 6, right here on 91.5 The Voice and Cable FM 88.7. That's Sunday nights at 6, The Vault. I'll talk to you then.
Jason died in a car accident on April 3rd, 95.
I know, Dad. They're only going to be here for a little
right
bit.
away
They're part of my
about
crew.
donating his organs. He said to me,
They'll
Mom,
be-
if
they'll
anything
be
ever
back in
happened to
about a
me,
minute.
you should donate all my organs.
Share your decision to become an organ and tissue donor with your family today.
I feel very happy that he decided this.
Organ and tissue donation. Share your life. Share your decision. Call 1-800-355-SHARE for a free brochure. A message from the Advertising Council and the Coalition on Donation.
Okay, everybody. Thanks a lot.
Do you have dreams?
Do you have goals? Everyone does.
No matter what race or color they are.
Talk to each other.
Listen to each other. Sure, we're all different.
But we're also all the same.
Understand the similarities.
Respect the differences.
Help end prejudice in your lifetime. Call 1-800-934-3430 or log on to www.whitehouse.gov. Together, we can build one America in the 21st century. Brought to you by the President's Initiative on Race, the Leadership Conference Education Fund, and the Ad Council.
It began in 1986. In 1988, Access Sacramento brought you round-the-clock community radio. In 1997, Sacramento's voice is heard worldwide on the Internet. In May of 1998, Access Sacramento expands the community voice again. Stay tuned as we usher in a new era in Sacramento radio. Access Sacramento and The Voice, Sacramento's community cable radio, Internet, and something more. You are tuned to the Voice of Sacramento, the community-use cable radio station where you create and produce your own radio programs. Access Sacramento empowers Sacramento County residents through technical training and assistance. Visit us at the Coloma Community Center at 4623 T Street, Sacramento, California. Funds for the operation of this channel are provided in part by the Sacramento Metropolitan Cable Television Commission. Questions or comments may be addressed to the Commission at 828 I Street, Sacramento, California, 95814. Reach the Commission by telephone at area code 916-440-6661. This is The Voice.
To Action Callers. If you're interested in asking Manny any questions, Manny Gale any questions, you could put it in writing and put it on an email and send it to Action Callers, sacramento.org. Our email number is sacramento.org. Or if you want to leave a message, you can leave a message for me or Manny Gale at 456-5199. And while I'm remembering it, I just want to take a moment to thank our volunteer engineers and our screener, Diane Matar, and our two engineers, Steve Balog, who is an engineer for this, in transportation, and he's giving his free time to learn how to do this kind of thing and get us on the air. And also Michael Geller, who is a workers' comp attorney here in town, who has also volunteered his time to be with us and to work these, learn how to work all these things, the lights that go on and everything like that. So again, I do want to thank all of them, including Shane Carpenter, who has been teaching us how to do all of this. And here at Access Sacramento, it's a place that all of you could come and learn to do this and start your own show if you have an idea about something that you want to do. This has been a dream of mine for over 10 years, is to have a program where we can empower each other to make our world a better place. And so now I'd like to go back to Manny and see if there's some other topics that he has on his agenda that he'd like to share with us. Manny?
One of my major areas of interest, and the area in which I have taught and have been able to travel around the world literally looking at, is the issue of health care. It's an issue that I think certainly affects everybody. It's an issue which I think is in crisis. And the major reason for the crisis is that the U.S. has failed to develop a national policy that says healthcare is a fundamental human right. If you travel around the world, and I was on sabbatical 5 years ago, spent 2.5 months in the Scandinavian countries, Norway, Sweden, and Denmark, looking at the way in which the so-called advanced social welfare states address the same kinds of issues that we are. And I came back angry. I came back angry and livid because in those three countries and in other Western countries, industrialized countries, healthcare is viewed as a fundamental human right. It is egalitarian in terms of access for people. And what we have here is an abomination. What we have in the United States is a
That's
free
not
for all.
good. An abomination isn't a good word, huh?
No, it's not a good word.
Not a good word.
It is really tragic that as a matter of public policy, we have different pots of money for different people depending on the luck of the draw. We have in the United States now 44.5 million people who have no health insurance. In California, we're talking about 7.5 million people now, 22% of the population in California who have no health insurance.
Well, what do they do when they get sick?
They ignore it. They take aspirin. Or if things become very critical, they go to the emergency room, which is much more expensive to deal with. And so what we have...
Do they pay for the emergency rooms? What
if they have resources, they might pay a few pennies, or they might work out some kind of plan, time payment plan over a number of years to pay for the care that they receive. There is no reason why the U.S. could not deal with a universal health care system. We are spending 14% of the gross domestic product. Last year, about $1.4 trillion of money. That's private and public funds. And we have that large numbers of people who are uninsured.
Well, would it have been worked out better had Clinton's plan early on in his first term of office gone through?
I don't think so personally, because I think there were some major flaws in the system. One of my views has been, and those people who are really intimately involved and concerned about the need for fundamental dramatic change in healthcare system, is that you cannot deal with stuff incrementally. And that's the way all of these responses are. So
What do
we
you
were
mean? What do you
concerned.
mean by that?
Well, we were concerned, for example, the president was concerned about the fact that there were 11 million children in the United States who had no health insurance. And so in California, we're talking about almost 2 million children like that. And what did they do? What the president did, and finally Congress agreed to go along, they provided funding for 5 million children to have access to health care. That's a crisis in values from my perspective. Of course, I have a nasty streak sometimes, and what I proposed that the president might do to somewhat redeem his image, if you will, is to have a grand national TV lottery where you take all 11 million children names and you put them in that big barrel,
Bad.
big barrel, and that he would pick out the lucky 5 million children, who were going to have access to health care. Now, it's as bold and as stark and as dramatic as the point I'm just making now. If we say that there's going to be health insurance available for children, and then we only provide less than the amount of money necessary to assure that, that's what I'm talking about. I say incremental approach.
Great. Well, I'd like our audience to kind of think about what they might even want to do about this issue, and we'll be back right after station break. Yeah, we'll be back.
The Voice is 88.7 Cable FM and KYDS 91.5 FM Sacramento.
Back again. Have you thought of some other kinds of things that...
Well, there have been efforts by those of us who are committed to universal health care in California. A number of years ago, we had an initiative, Prop 186, which failed because the vested interests did not want to allow for that kind of dramatic change.
Who's the vested interest?
The vested interests are the health insurance companies, the hospitals, the drug companies, the physicians, the durable medical equipment companies.
The physicians don't seem too happy with the way things are right now.
Well, they're not happy with the situation because they have lost control of the health system. Up until 10 years ago, doctors were much more influential.
Well, they were gods, no?
Yeah, they were God. They've been de-deified, clearly. Now the money changers are in control of the system. The people who run the insurance companies that develop the managed care, et cetera, and et cetera. The attempt, or the theory was that there would be cost containment as a result of that. And they have contained cost at expense of people's care. There's no question about that. Why do you think there have been all of the pieces of legislation introduced in our legislature and in the Congress about Patients' Bill of Rights? This is a direct response to the failures of the system to respond directly to the needs of people and the denial of access and denial of care.
Yeah. What are the Patients' Bill of Rights? I hear the word a lot, but I don't hear much.
Patients' Bill of Rights vary, but there are some fundamental principles around that. One, of course, a couple of them became very, very prominent when women would have a radical mastectomy, and the plan wanted to kick them out within 8 hours.
Had to go home.
But I'd go home, 1 day surgery. Or if a woman gave birth to a child, at 4 to 6 hours and you had to go home.
I don't know how those women did that. I'm
Well,
glad it wasn't around when I was here having
But
kids.
this became a major issue that boggled the mind even of legislators and congressmen. And so they finally responded, well, at least there have to be a few days of care provided, et cetera, et cetera. The other, of course, is the right to a second opinion. Another one is the right to sue if you believe that you have not received adequate care. And this is a major issue, not only in California, it's a major issue around the country. But my major concern, again, is the need for a universal system that really does not cover it only through employment. essentially a tax-based system, which is what they have in the Scandinavian countries. I mentioned earlier that we're spending 14% of our GDP, gross domestic product. In Denmark, it's 6.3%, and in Norway, it's 8.1%.
So it's a lot lower.
A lot
They're
lower
they're
percentage.
paying less, so
they're
their
paying
taxes?
a less. That's correct. They're paying a smaller percentage. In Sweden, it's 9.1%. They're paying a smaller percentage of their gross domestic product for health care, and everybody is covered.
Are they? Did you talk to any of the
I did.
people
I
there?
met-
Did they seem
I met
happy
people-
with what they had?
People were pleased with their system. They had ready access. They didn't have to go to an insurance company, or the doctors didn't have to call up to get prior authorization as to whether a person could receive certain kind of treatment. No Parliament member, because people, when I was there, people asked me, well, what happened to Clinton's plan? And when I explained to them that one of the things that torpedoed the plan was the fact that we have campaign contributions that are made to congressmen and senators. And during that year, more than $100 million was contributed to individual campaigns, by the vested interests in health care. When I mentioned that to these people, they said if a Parliament member did that,
Took
he
money.
received a contribution, a campaign contribution, he or she would have been tarred, feathered, drummed out of the Parliament, thrown out.
Well, how do they get elected?
Look what's going on now in Germany. This recent business with Kohl, Helmut Kohl, who was the chancellor before, was bounced, and he's just had to resign his position because of campaign contributions that were secret. That this is not part of their cultural values. It is certainly, and it's corrupting fundamental policy making within the United States and certainly here in California.
So you think it's pretty much all around the moneyed people, or large corporations that are kind of against this?
Well,
and
the vested interests are concerned about profit and greed. There's no question about that. The insurance companies are interested in maximizing profit, and what they do is try to contain costs so that they can maximize their profit margins.
Great. Well, let me ask you this. That can be kind of overwhelming, and I can just see some people listening and they, oh my God, what can I do?
What can we do?
And
All right.
I can't do anything. What are some?
Well, there are two
small
major
things we can do?
organizations in the state, because we've come to the conclusion that there's not going to be any significant change on the national level, that we can start on a state level. Health Access is one of them. It's a long-standing organization representing some 250, 300 organizations, and they've been very active on the Patient's Bill of Rights, and Healthcare for All.
So what can the people do?
Join,
How to?
affiliate, Healthcare for All. If people, we have a local group, Sacramento.
And how would they? You happen to know the phone number, or
They can call me,
Call you?
923-2621, and I'd be glad to refer them to the right person on that one.
Great.
One of the ideas that I've had about expanding this thing now in time for the election in November is to have initiatives in each of 15 or 20 major communities in California that state simply, healthcare is a fundamental human right, and that we as a society have responsibility to try to initiate a universal health care plan.
And for people to vote on that?
And the people to vote on that. It's not legal in the sense that it's binding. It's not a law. But this is patterned after an initiative that was done in Chicago several years ago. Cardinal Bernardine, who died of cancer several years ago, was a proponent of this statement. He issued a pastoral letter to that effect. After he died, that statement was on the ballot in Cook County, which is all of Chicago and surrounding area, and passed by 83% of the voters. And
Did it make a difference?
Well, it has changed some of the political dynamics. The change has not yet taken place, but has begun to elevate
First step,
the discussion about what needs to happen. My idea is to do the same thing here in California, 15, 20 major communities.
Okay, have you started it?
I've started talking with some key people about having that come about.
Okay, in what way can any of our listeners maybe join you in that? Maybe there's some of those key people.
You can use the same number, and be glad to get them involved as we proceed. Right now, I will be meeting with some key people on a statewide level who have grassroots involvement. And once we agree that we're going to undertake this campaign, then we find people in each of the local, those 15 or 20 communities who are willing to take that on. This is an
Fantastic.
issue that...
Well, maybe some of you that are listening might want to take it on. And let me give you Manny's number again. It's 916-923-2621. And give him a call, because we've got a lot of energy and a lot of people who have a lot of talents and a lot of, energy to do those things. And by
One of the
taking
things
part,
that keeps me going, by the way, is my healthy outrage.
healthy outrage.
Healthy outrage, very
and healthy
constructive.
paranoia.
No, not paranoia. Healthy outrage, very constructively directed. And that's why I'm spending time on the healthcare issue. That's why I'm spending time on the progressive agenda, which will begin to make a political difference here in Sacramento as all of our groups coalesce.
Okay, so age doesn't matter. People can call you of all ages. Young people, old people.
Oh, young people we need.
What do you need them for?
We need them to understand the need for change and their stake in it. Interesting survey this morning's B. How young people...
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
How young people are alienated and have not been voting. However, 70%, 75% of the young people are investing their energies in trying to make a difference with individuals or with groups.
Great. Well, we're getting ready almost for another break. And anything else that pops into your head? Just about one more sentence, I think, will take up what
The
our
rest of the
engineers
time?
want us to do. No, we'll have a little bit more time after the next break.
Oh, well, the whole issue of welfare reform, child care, and that one, foster care, adult protective services, in-home support services.
Oh, only a few things.
Only
huh?
a few things.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And I would like you each to think, as you're listening to Manny,
Do you wanna
what
get to
small
this?
part that you might do, if any of these things have made you angry, made you upset, give us a call. Next week we're going to be on the air in 2 weeks we'll be on the phone. And I look forward to hearing from all of you. If you've been kind of encouraged to take a step, but you don't quite know what to do, or you got an idea for what to do, and you might want to run it past us and see what help other people who are listening might want to join you. We have the Sacramento, we have our line, we have the email number, which is sacramento.org, or you can call us at 456-5199 and leave a message, and I will get back to you. So we're ready for our next break, and love y'all, and keep on listening, because we'll be right back after the promos. Bye-bye.